I'll call the meeting to order.
The meeting has been posted according to open meeting laws.
Roll call.
President Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Alexander.
Here.
Trustee Holm. Here. Trustee Nugent. Here. Trustee Renucci. Here. Trustee Smalley.
Here.
And Trustee Wisniewski.
Here.
Thank you.
I don't think we have anybody for citizen participation, so I'm not going to read the spiel. Okay, moving on. Consent agenda, one motion and a second will approve all the following items. Any item may be pulled from the list and voted on separately.
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I'd like to take item 3 first, since we do have someone here in the audience in case there are questions on this, and then he can get out of here. Item 3, consider recommendation from Plan Commission to approve conditional use for incidental outdoor display at 2616 South Executive Drive, RA 498700002 MDC, East Troy LLC, Josh Manti, and agent. This was reviewed and approved by the Plan Commission last week.
I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use as approved by the Plan Commission.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That's easy for you. Have a good evening. Okay, how about we do number 2, since we have time here. We'll do number 2 then. Consideration of amending sanitary service area. Item A is the current SSA map, and item B is the expanded future SSA map. And you see Tom's email here, or sorry, memo. Tom, if you want to come up and maybe kind of walk us through a little bit of this and kind of what's going on, and we can ask you some questions.
Any questions on it? Do you guys want me to go through the memo, or?
Actually, yeah, just a little bit, Tom, yeah.
Okay.
What I'm really reaching for is why we would need to change it and what the implications are of changing it, quite frankly.
Okay, so the need would be, when we're doing the 20-year facility plan, which I believe everybody here is familiar with, and as we're going through this plan, it's noticed that, hey, there's potential for these areas on that map, and the other map, the future map, shows about that map right there, 9, 10, 15, and 14. So those are platted areas. And those areas have the potential for population growth that would be desired to be served by the East Troy wastewater treatment plant or the sanitary service area. They can't until that's amended. So that would be the need. And the reason that we're talking about it right now is dealing with sewer pack and the 20-year facility plan. This is a good time to do it. It's desired. We can do it later, but if we don't do it together, we have the potential of holding up that 20-year facility plan. So that's the short of it. Jason, did I miss anything on that?
There's just one thing I want to add to it. So the former Lindy's property on Lake Beulah, a developer that's involved with the property owner had come to us and said, hey, we would like sanitary sewer to that property. And the answer was, well, we cannot currently serve you because you're not in the sewer use area, the map in front of you. So in other words, to get sanitary sewer from the village, you have to either be in the village or in the sanitary district. And so if we were to amend the service area, as Tom's recommending, this property, this particular parcel would have to be part of the town sanitary district in order to get service. So it's kind of the first step in this process. This is something that was kind of happening in the background, and then it's kind of coincidence that this property owner came along and said, hey, I'd like this. So we're kind of looking at two things here in unison.
Yep, and it's the sanitary service area. So if you amend the map, that doesn't mean that if there's any development there, it automatically comes to us. The town still has to approve it. It's their district. It would just allow it if the town says, yeah, we'll allow you to hook up to our force main or expand their service, so.
The other thing we're doing with this is we're committing some capacity to that area, right? So right now, I think wasn't it like 600 people?
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of capacity. We've got plenty of capacity with our current situations, but we are committing some capacity to that by amending the area.
Yep, and that 600 comes from sewer pack numbers. That's their estimate of how much 9, 10, 15, and 14 would grow.
And people in those areas, they're not required, they wouldn't be required to connect, so only if they want to.
Correct.
Just a question because I was confused a little bit. When you say the town, the approval from the town, are you actually meaning the township or Potters Lake Sanitary District?
Potters Lake Sanitary District number 2.
Okay.
Is that, yep.
So go ahead.
I was going to say, so with the example you gave, Jason, about the Lindy's property, so no one along that route would necessarily have to connect if they wanted to have this done?
They would not have to, correct?
They would have the option to?
Potentially, I guess that would be something the sanitary district would have to work out. That's not on us.
Yeah, so I guess summarizing that too, if we don't amend it, there's no way that they would ever be able to discharge to us. If we amend it, they have the potential, but we're not giving the final, yeah, no, it's sanitary district number 2. So they would still have to get approval from them.
Yeah, so there's also some engineering to deal with, lift station, cross connects, all that. So I did speak with the town chairman last week about this, so that he was aware. And, the discussion, and no, you're not required to connect. And I think it's the same, view that what I said to him is that probably our view of this as a board would, with past precedent, is a developer putting something in, well, okay, if that's what they want, then they're going to have to pay for that. So if that developer is intending upon, these people along those routes sharing in that cost and splitting, because of that lift station, well, they may not want to do that. And so then more of that falls to them. So, like what Tom said, we're just amending a map. We're not and committing the capacity, but we're not committing the infrastructure to be built out there. I would view that like we do other things within the village.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. You're not, the only thing we'd really commit with this is the potential to serve possibly 600 more people.
And as you said, we have the capacity now, and we would bake that into any, because I know at some point we're going to have to revisit the plant anyway. So that would have to be baked into those plans as well.
And that's part of what we're doing with facilities planning. So if you guys remember, when I came to you, probably I think it was the end of 23, and we started what I called sewer master planning. That's what has become facilities planning. That's actually what it was all along. I called it master planning, but it's the facilities planning for the sewer utility is what we're talking about here, and that's why it's an appropriate time to make these amendments to our service area. And then again, sewer pack has to approve these. So it's what did they say, mid-25 before these changes could be adopted?
Mid-25, yes.
2025?
Yep. So the 20-year facilities plan is a DNR requirement. We have to do that. And sewer pack has a big part of that in the population estimate. So if you're going to amend the sanitary service area, sewer pack has to approve it. And it has been suggested by sewer pack that we do this together with our plan, because if we don't, it will delay our facilities plan, if we want to do that. So like Jason said, this is why we're talking about it right now. So.
That's cool, that's what I needed, thank you.
Is that a motion?
Sure, I'll move that we take steps to amend the sewer PAC approved East Troy and Environs sewer service area map to include the expanded boundaries using facility planning process.
All right, any other questions or discussion?
Nice job with that word. I had to look that up, by the way. So now I just say surrounding area.
Amend the map. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. Thanks, Tom, and thanks for the planning on this as well. Okay, on to the big ticket item, item 1. Emergency replacement of fire truck for East Troy Area Emergency Services District. A, consider fire truck purchase agreement with the town of East Troy, and is that, I guess this will be 2 items that we'll have to take, and then B would be a second motion? Okay, all right, so we'll start with A here. So Eileen has the memo here. Eileen, anything you want to highlight specifically?
In the memo, not specifically in the memo, I don't, the agreement was drafted by Attorney Geary. The town is considering it this evening. Really, between the agreement and that second motion, so the first motion would be for the agreement, second motion is for the resolution. There is very specific verbiage that the leasing company wants, so I have that resolution spelled out if you are inclined to approve it. My recommendation after talking to the Capital Leasing Company is to say an amount up to $375,000, just in case that there's a difference in it that it's not exact. So that would give us the ability to move forward without having a second approval. And that's about it. Were there any questions on it? I know we talked about this with Chief DeGarro last week.
Yeah, or we tell them we only have 365.
The agreement does say an approximate $365,000, and Joe seems confident that it is $365,000, but based on her recommendation, I just thought that was smart because of the time constraints we're under. It sounds like we should be able to finalize all the paperwork if everything's approved tonight at both the town and village by Friday. So everything should be finalized by Friday.
And then,
Was there any input from the town at all?
yeah, I spoke, same conversation. I spoke with the town.
Where it is right now, I'll find out tomorrow night at our meeting, but yeah, as soon as we sign it, that switch would flip.
Well, then I'll make a motion to approve the fire truck purchase agreement between the town of East Troy and the village of East Troy.
A second.
Okay, any questions or discussion on the agreement? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You'd have to read the whole thing.
Excuse me. I'll move to approve the resolution 2024-09 to finance the purchase of the Fouts Ford mini pumper in the amount to not exceed $375,000. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I just want to add where I did put with the clerk's attestation and certification contingent upon receipt of executed purchase agreement with the town.
I'll sign.
All right, so we get a second here. Any questions or discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Again, want to thank, I know Jason's put a lot of work on this, and obviously the Chief DeGarro, so we'll, yeah, but in the end, actually, it's going to save us money, a bunch of money, and give us some better service too. So sometimes these things happen for a reason.
And we will have a truck that needs to be sold if anybody's interested.
I am not Alex Alder.
It might be nice for Park and Rec. Maybe we could put one in a park.
Leon might be interested. All right, ordinances and resolutions. Ordinance 2024-11, amending Chapter 244, driveways and culverts. You see Jason's memo here about this was, we discussed this, and we had the property owner who came to us a couple of meetings back.
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance 2024-11, amending Chapter 244 of driveways and culverts.
I'll second that.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. On to July financial report. Any questions for Eileen? Any percentages you have questions about 40?
The 1,800%?
I did have a question, believe it or not. But it just, I have page 11, but I'm not sure if that's it. On the CDA, there was a difference I didn't understand, and I was wondering if you could clue me in, which,
CDA or TID 4, because page 11 is TID 4.
I could very well have been wrong. I wrote down CDA, page 11, CDA difference. But again,
Page 10. That's okay. So you're,
Are you talking about the 400,000?
yeah.
That is the advance from capital fund that the board authorized, because that was to pay for some of the final grading.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
any other questions for Eileen? Okay, municipal court for July 2024. Our new person working out well still? Everything going well? Okay. Questions? All right. Committee reports, library board minutes from July 9th. Mary, anything you want to highlight?
A lot of program. A lot of programming going on with the new librarian, the youth librarian, doing a lot of programs. The other is the library is going to go back to pre-COVID hours, which just means on Monday nights, they'll be open to 7 o'clock. And able to cover without any additional hours.
I'd also like to make sure we thank Paul from Benchmark as far as for donating the extra landscaping work that I was read in there.
I was pleased to see the rating for Tammy. Very nice.
Good.
Okay, on to Airport Advisory Committee minutes from July 8th. Jim, anything you want to highlight?
I think just to carry forward some of the items, Jason attended the Airport Advisory Committee last week and let us know the Bureau of Aeronautics has authorized a RFP to design a plan for a hangar expansion. That's expected to take a month to finish.
To select a firm.
To select a firm, right. And Doug has been contacted by a local airplane mechanic indicating an interest to rent a part of the hangar there. We thought that was a good direction as well. The ordinance review is still on hold. That'll be going to the Bureau of Aeronautics for review, but Jason pointed out there are other things on the table that are probably more pressing now, so that's on hold. And the last is, and you may have seen the posting on the website, the Planning Advisory Committee is scheduled to meet on September 17th, beginning at 3, with a public meeting beginning at 5 o'clock at the airport.
Any questions for Jim? Okay. And last is draft plan commission minutes for August 12th. Any questions for 40 since I was not there?
And I was only active.
He was and you were the conductor. Okay. All right, then I will make a motion to adjourn to closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 1985E for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or the conducting of other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session offer to purchase property.
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
President Johnson?
Yes.
Trustee Alexander?
Yes.
Trustee Holm? Yes. Trustee Nugent? Yes. Trustee Renucci?